Tonight, we have for you potentially the most exciting bit of research I've ever done as a researcher and aficionado and a stringent believer in the validity and the authenticity of the written word of God, the account of the creator of this universe. It's called Where Do We Come From? And we are looking at today the evidence in favor of the accuracy of the Table of Nations in Genesis 10, and the mind-blowing idea that every human alive today descends from the grandsons of Noah. Yeah, the Noah. Noah in the boat, you've probably heard the story. That happened, and we all are related to people who got off that boat. So this research started with the blue eye video that I made. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but science recently discovered that all humans alive today with blue eyes descend from one single ancestor that lived 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Where did this person live? Near the Black Sea. Why? That's an amazing coincidence, because the Bible says Noah got off the boat on Mount Ararat in Turkey, which is bordering the Black Sea. So we have all humans with blue eyes descending from one person that lived 6,000 to 10,000 years ago that came from potentially Mount Ararat. Well, that research led me into the Table of Nations. We've all read it in the book, right? It's like, I'm reading the Bible and this is good. And then it's like Noah has a bunch of kids and I can't pronounce many of them and I'm losing track of what's going on and it doesn't make any sense and I'm out and I move on, right? Well, no. If you are a nerd of the Bible like I am, and you are a researcher of the accuracy of the Bible like I am, that is a treasure trove and a gold mine of information. And my goodness, the accuracy of the dispersion of the people from Ararat, the grandsons of Noah, into modernity, into Europe, the evidence that these people actually settled Europe and Africa and the Middle East, and we all descend from them, just like the blue-eyed person. It's remarkable. I debate a lot of atheists on TikTok, and they want to say that the Bible's a fairy tale, and I say the Bible's a historical document. It's not just a historical document. It's the historical document. It is the single most accurate, ancient piece of historical documentation that humans have. It is an absolute treasure of humanity that we have this book to tell us what actually happened. The account of the author of this reality. This is what it is. And it's like, I knew some of this, right? It's like, I've heard about Magog. It's like Russia. It makes sense. And, Shem, Semites. It makes sense. Canaanites. When I started looking into this, it started off with a couple searches and then it ended up in days and days and days of nerding out. And if you believe in the Bible and you know it's to be trustworthy, this information is it'll change how you see the Bible. Maybe not.Maybe you've done this research. Now, a lot of people have done similar research. They've said, like you hear them on a church thing, and they'll be like, okay, and Japheth had, Gomer had, and this person, and they'll just go through the names. It's like, okay, you're just throwing names at me. What we're going to do tonight, this is what's different about this presentation than what a lot of people do, is we're going to take the internet happened, and we're going to look at the compendium of information and this conflagration of information, and we're going to tie them to actual people that settled actual cities that were named after these grandsons of Noah, and the evidence that persists remarkably in the face of entropy to this day. It's so brilliant and so exciting. So please share this with people. If you want to wait, like if people aren't going to I don't want to watch a 2-hour video of this guy yammering, I'm going to try and edit it down to like a 30-ish minute piece, 40-ish minute piece, and then I'm going to do a couple TikTok videos. But this is the fun, live, raw, deep dive where you can see me lose my mind over and over. So, okay, what I want to start with today is something that we all kind of know, but I think it's probably good to preface this with. This image is so telling, and people don't think about this. What is this image? It may be Denzel Washington that made this quote. I don't know. Who knows? I'd like to trace it back. I don't think it was a major historian. What does the image say? If the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. Think about that. What is our history? Somebody told us the version of the story. Well, entropy is a thing. Entropy always increases. Disorder increases. So amazing to look back at, like, Jesus, the most followed, impactful person in the history of reality. There was some talk there. Was he even real? Obviously, we believe he's real, and now science is kind of coming back in history saying, okay, he was real. This is the most important person that ever lived only 2,000 years ago. How can they possibly know anything 5,000 years ago? Or they want you to believe they know what happened 190,000 years ago, or 14 billion years ago, or whatever. We don't know. We don't really know what isn't written by humans. And what is written by humans, what is that saying? Believe half what you see and none of what you read, or whatever, however that saying goes. You have to understand that the version of history that we have currently is largely influenced by academia and scholarship. And academia and scholarship, look at Dan McClellan and Bart Ehrman and these individuals, their bias is against the God of the Bible and the validity of Scripture. So where we as Christians, we go, hey, we believe the Bible is accurate, and we work from that standpoint, they say the Bible isn't accurate, not at all. Let's disprove it. If the news is fake, imagine how bad history is. If they're telling you news about things going on today and how the universe got here and it's just some version of the story, imagine how untrustworthy, the potential version of history that we've been given. So that's just kind of a fun thing to start with, is this idea. Now, what are we going to cover tonight? This is the map that my beautiful wife made. This is the beginnings of the human civilization. Obviously, you see Africa, the Middle East, Europe. You see Western Asia over here. Remarkably, now I don't want you to look at this map and screenshot it and cheat, because we're going to have fun with this tonight. This map not only shows when and where, but it shows who settled these places. And it entirely lines up with the Table of Nations. So you get Noah, he comes off the boat. Actually, I did some research on this. I want to go to the face shot for a second. Some Christians, we've been taught that Noah was perfect in his generations. We had this idea there was no Nephilim bloodline. He was good. His family was good. Based on my research, Noah was good and his kids sucked. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that seems to be what actually happened here. Which makes sense, because the antediluvian world was a nightmare. It was absolutely horrific. You get the atheists go, God killed babies in the flood. There might not have been babies. They might have only had babies if they wanted to consume them. They might have... Noah was 500 before he had children. He didn't want to bring children into that world. You hear that today, I would never bring a child into this world. It might have been really bad. Barbaric. When we get into the Thracians, which is one of the grandsons of Noah, and their barbarism, I'm going to play a quick YouTube video. It was bad. Bad stuff. I think Ham and Japheth in particular were bad apples. We know Ham was. I think Japheth was a bad apple too. He's where all of the northern people come from. Let me switch this over real quick. Japheth is where, the warrior Vikings, the warriors, like the movie 300 and Sparta and all those really barbaric people, those warriors. Then we get the Vikings. These are all the sons of Japheth, and they have very similar, disposition. Nature worship, antediluvian things, antediluvian belief systems, which we actually will cover a little bit, monolithic structures, potentially giantism, potentially. And then you have Shem, who, was the bloodline of the Messiah. So he seemed to be one who kept following the living God. And the other two didn't. They went bonkers, went out, and they were just gone. Whoop. So, hopefully I can succinctly explain this to you. The spirit of these places has transcended humankind. Epigenetically, we're attached to all these people. Everyone's attached to these people. It's absolutely remarkable, our true history. So, how did the devil get Eve to disobey God? Did God really say? That was the first start of this. Did God really say? The devil wants us to disbelieve God's word. This is why when you get these agents, whether it's, but whatever, Dan McClellan or Blitz or Deconstruction Zone or Parker, all these people, and they get 5,000 people in the room. The devil, who is the god of this world, wants people wholesale to disbelieve in the Bible. There's a bigger, scarier thing here. Those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. We are suffering from amnesia. We are suffering from amnesia. And the amnesia that we're suffering from is induced by somebody who wants to control the narrative, telling us to basically disbelieve the Bible. I'm going to read a quote here. If it's going to load, tell me it's going to load. I know it's going to load for me, because why wouldn't it load for me? It's going to be good for me. Okay, good. That's that one. OBS glitches, OBS glitches, OBS glitches. Good. I got it. That was good. That way that worked. This is from Luther, Martin Luther. I'm not a huge Luther fan, but listen to what he says here about the Genesis 10 situation. Hence, one must consider this chapter of Genesis a mirror in which to discern that we human beings really are. Namely, creatures so marred by sin that we have no knowledge of our own origin, not even of God himself, our Creator. Unless the Word of God reveals these sparks of divine light to us from afar, this knowledge the Holy Scriptures reveals to us. Those who are without them live in error, uncertainty, and boundless ungodliness, for they have no knowledge about who they are and whence they came. This is so important, you guys. If we've lost contact with our ancestors, they do this. They take you as a child away from your parents. You're raised in the state. You don't know your grandparents. We put them in a home, and we don't know anything but our ancestors. So we're like, oh, did DNA test them? I got blah blah blah. Well, these used to be passed down generation to generation. The oral tradition was very strong. I have an oral tradition in my family that's crazy. My brother and I might be related to the was a guy in Russia. It's slipping my mind right now. I guess this isn't that important that we're that related to them. But anyways, the Russian family, very high to do Russian family. There's an oral tradition that our family is related to them. I keep want to say Habsburg. Peter? It'll come to me later. Anyways, I have it written down. My uncle wrote it down. Whatever. Is it true or not? I don't know. But we used to have some of this information being passed down. If you don't know, like if you're an orphan, right? You don't know who your dad is. You didn't know your dad was a really good sports guy, and your mom was a musician. I'm good at sports and music. That's weird. Why is that the way? I don't know. Because we don't know our identity. Our identity is in our origin, right? Epigenetically, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So Luther's onto something really big here when he says, "For they have no knowledge about who they are and whence they came." Well, I'm here to tell you tonight that who we are and whence we came, obviously sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, made in the image of the living God. We know that. But we are the descendants of these three individuals, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I'm going to start with the curse and the blessing that God put on him. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." Cursed Canaan. Which is interesting because it was Ham that did the thing. So Ham was the one who uncovered his father's nakedness. A lot of speculation what that could have meant. Let's just assume that he was naked. He's like, check it, laughing at his dad. Noah was pissed. He cursed Canaan, not Ham. A lot thought to glean in that. He also said, "Praise be the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem." Then he said, "May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." Very important what you tell your children, okay? Bless your children, don't curse them. This curse stuck. Canaan ended up being the father of all of the Canaanites, of the Jebusites and the Amalekites and the whatever, the ites, as Joyce Meyer would say. And they ended up basically being eradicated and exterminated by Shem. That happened. Like when you get into like the whole like why did David have to do this and that? There's a lot to it, and a lot. They were very barbaric. Long story there. I can't go on down that road. But listen to what he did for Shem. This is brilliant. Again, remember this is the line of David. This is the line of Abraham, Moses, David, Jesus. What's the blessing over Shem? Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. The Lord would be glorified through Shem. Did that happen? Yeah. Jesus, David, the whole thing. Yeah, the Lord was glorified. God blessed Shem by glorifying himself through that bloodline. Okay? May Japheth live in the... May God extend Japheth's territory. This book was written a very long time ago. Okay? Tell me if Japheth's territory was extended. And not only was it extended, it's definitely mostly America. I mean, almost all of America was settled by Europeans. Now, diverse. We're a melting pot, so there's a lot of different people, but Norway, all of the north areas, a huge part, Japheth's territory was definitely extended. So that curse really happened here. Tiny area for Shem to manage or for God to manage. And then the Ham thing it's going to be the least I actually study because I'm Eurocentric in my life. I come from Russia and Spain, etc. So I know these places and I know these histories. I don't really know African history very well, unfortunately. So I'd rather not speak on stuff I don't really know about, but we will cover Cush, Mizraim, Ludum a little bit. We're going to cover Shem. We're going to cover Japheth. So let's go through quickly, make the map go away, bring the tabs back up. Let's do the table of nations really quick, and then we're going to get into the good stuff here. Thank you guys for sticking through those technical glitches that we had. Okay. First thing I want to show you guys. The Japhethites, sons of Japheth. The Hamites, the sons of Ham. And the Shemites, the sons of Shem. Also known as the Semites. You ever heard of the Semitic people? Oh, the Semitic people, Semitic languages. They're the Shemitic. This is the kind of thing we're going to see over and over in this. We lost the H. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Shem was the father of the Semites, the Shemites. Isn't that crazy? There's so much of this information that we're going to end up covering. So yeah, Semites are the Shemites. Okay, we're going to start with Japheth because this is so brilliant. And what we're going to do on the map here, let me pull the map back up. I'm going to stop closing that one screen. So what I'll have to do is go to the map and share it. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the plan. We're going to go. I think my cursor should work. My wife and I tested this out. Cursor doesn't work. Why would it? It will if I switched over. Hold on. Hopefully I don't lose it. Okay. Thank you, OBS or OSB, for being so hard. Oh, look at that. Look at this. Hey, look, cursor, just like we talked about, Chloe. We're going to start with Gomer. This is so brilliant. You guys heard me pitch this a little bit on the True Christian Ministry Live last night. Then we're going to go around clockwise to Mesheck, Magog, and Tubal. Then we're going to go down to Madai very quickly. I didn't learn a whole lot about Madai. I probably did 4 to 6 hours of research on almost every one of these names. I think that math checks out. And I could do another 20. It's crazy. And I could probably go to every single of these grandsons and find everyone. But we're going to cover 14 names tonight, hopefully. Then we're going to go around to Javan, which is Greece. We're going to go to Tyrus, which is Thrace, where the Thracians come from. And we're going to go to Tarshish. And then that should be about an hour and a half. And then we're going to quickly go through Shem in kind of a fun... Actually, we're going to go through Ham quickly, and then we're going to finish with Shem. Get ready. Get your thinking caps on. Get your pencil. Get your notebook. Or write on something else. I don't care. Get a Sharpie right on your arm. That's fine. We're starting over here in Gomer town. Gomerton. That's not what it's called. That's a good start. Okay. Who is Gomer? This is an important thing for us to know. Let me get my map straightened out here. One day we're going to have a producer and we're going to have somebody. I'll just have Neuralink. I'm kidding. I'm not going to get Neuralink. Yeah. Did you hear they just tested that? That sucks. Okay. The Japhethites, the sons of Japheth. Remember, he was blessed by God as his territory would be expanded. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Mesheck, and Tiras. We're going to cover all these guys, all these Yehus. These are the guys where all of the runes and the druids and the Stonehenges and the mounds and the earth worship and the Thor and Frigga and Odin, it all come from these Yehus. These guys, they were probably like got on the boat. What I imagine is that, this is how I imagine this. Noah's like, I hate everybody. I hate you. I hate everybody. I hate my children. I hate everybody. This isn't in the Bible. This is just Luke talks about the Bible. He's like, I'm ready for God to blow this thing up or sink it down, whatever. So you want me to build a boat? Why? We're going to save, just take me with them. I'm done. Build a boat. Make your sons build a boat. they don't want to build this boat with me. Have you met them? They're terrible. This hasn't happened. So he gets on the boat with these maniacs. I'm convinced that Japheth and Ham were maniacs. Like, anybody have like bad kids? Gets off the boat, and I think Noah's like, okay, I did the boat thing, I landed it, they're gone, how much longer do I have? I've been doing this for like 500 years. I'm just going to go hide out as a recluse on the mountain, and whatever happens, you wanted to save this thing, you do it. My kids, you're going to repopulate this with my kids? Okay, all right, I'll do what you say, God. I think that's what happened. Okay. Let's go to the map one last time. Well, I showed you where Gomer. Actually, we're going to do that. We're going to go to the map. And I'm going to show you where we're headed on the map. We are going to Gomerville, up here in Wales. Now, this area is very, very far from Turkey. This is the Dead Sea. This is Turkey right here. This is where Ararat was. I wonder if that was... They had to go very far to get there. So, if you go to this place in the far, far northeast... and the people there are talking about Gomer. Gomer settled this area. Wouldn't that be crazy? People think the Bible's a fairy tale. Imagine if you went up to there and people were like, Gomer started this. How ridiculous would that be? People think the Bible's a fairy tale. How ridiculous would that be? This evidence. This is the language spoken there. We think it's called Welsh. Okay. I can read Welsh. This is says Lana Fair, Perwell Robin Williams, then the logo and Gooch. See? Man of many talents. That doesn't look like Hebrew. That has no relation to Hebrew. This is the area that it's in. Wales, right? Very far away. Same map, same place. Wales. This whole area. England, UK. The area is known historically in ancient times as Cymru, or, because C and G are like V and W for us, Gomeru. It's known as Gomeru. Okay? I'm actually going to close these tabs as I go, which I'm really excited about. I have so many tabs up. Gomeru. Kind of sounds like Gomer, right? What do they speak? They speak Gomereg. Yeah. Yafro Gomereg is a name often used to refer to the linguistic area in Wales where the Welsh language is used by the majority or large part of the people. It's called Gomereg. Does it sound at all Gomery to you? Be weird, right? Gomeru. Gomer, we're speaking Gomereg. Like if I started land, I'd be like, yeah, this is Lukey Lou town. Lukey Lou town. We speak Lukey Louise. Like, yeah, it was Luke. You knew Luke and he started that area. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't call it that. According to the Great Baptist History, which it's the Welsh Baptist, this is hundreds and hundreds of years old. I would look into it. It's really cool. The Welsh, properly called Cymru or Gumri, the inhabitants of the Principality of Wales are generally believed to be the descendants of Gomer, the eldest son of Japheth, who was the eldest son of Noah. The general opinion is that they landed on the Isle of Britain from France about 300 years after the flood. This is a history that they had, whoever they were talking to, however, I think this was written in the 1600s. Yeah, Gomer, we're from Gomer. That's where we're from. About 300 years after the flood, based on the information. This is a book called The Roots of Nationalism. And so this is what we're doing on the show tonight. It's not just the names. We're going to look at the names and actually where they're at today, historically. I haven't seen anybody put together this information like this. So, stop talking and put it together. The roots of nationalism, national identity formation in early modern Europe, 1600 to 1815. A wide range of scholars. Again, these are all secular sources. The roots of nationalism. In this book, that was my X-Files sound. I don't know if it's anything like it, but I'm tone deaf, so there you go. In this book, in the chapter titled Celts and Druids, it's crazy. I was thinking about this. We're up in New England now, from Denver originally. The Boston Celtics are named after these guys. Interesting. Okay. Celts and Druids. The Welsh as the descendants of Gomer. You don't say. That makes sense. Gomer and Gomeric. Pezrin claimed that these Gomerians, were men of great stature and importance in antiquity. And traveling from Asia through Greece and Italy, they entered classical mythology as Titans. I'm telling you, Japheth wasn't a good guy. That was a rotten piece of fruit, I think. Pezron not only connected Celtic within, which is included Welsh, with Scripture, but also with the classical world as much as Geoffrey had. He writes, a strange thing that so ancient a language, because Gomer was here a long, long time ago, should now be spoken by the American Britons in France and by the ancient Britons in Wales. Crazy, they would still speak the same language. These are the people who have the honor to preserve the language of the posterity of Gomer, Japheth's eldest son, and the nephew of Shem. The language of those princes called Saturn and Jupiter, who passed for great deities among the ancients. These dudes were like, yeah, I'm God. I'm Gomer God Gomer, and you can just worship me. Crazy, right? Next bit of this. This is so cool. You guys are going to nerd out. If anybody's ever looked into the Nephilim or giants, I know it's Smithsonian, it's no giants. That's breaking the law of science. You can't do that. It's bad for the theory of evolution. Yeah, well, giants are a thing. They always have been a thing. There's giants today. Anyways, providing etymological comparisons between Welsh. I feel like I have to clarify that. There's very tall people today. I'm not saying there's giants running around. I don't know if there is or not. I'm not trying to make some weird X-Files Christian version. There may be giants, there may not be. I think there were definitely giants in antiquity. I think they were killed off. I think they were a threat, and they were cannibals, and everybody hated them, all the way from, Winnemucca to all the other stories of these kind of things. Yeah, I'm good. You can see me, right? Good audio? Good. So whenever that happens, maybe I make too loud of a sound, or maybe it's Gomer. I think we're getting Gomered. We're good, right? I almost said curse you, Gomer, but I wouldn't even curse Gomer. Don't curse the dead, giants. Okay, we're back. And we had a quick workaround, which is good. Here we go. Listen to this. Providing etymological comparisons, which is the study of words, between Welsh and Hebrew. Looking at the language difference between Welsh and Hebrew. And historical comparisons between the descriptions of Druidic and Old Testament practices of worship. Right? The theory of evolution does this all the time. They've got an arm and we've got an arm. We definitely came from the same place. Science. Okay. Rollins argued that the Welsh Druids had received from who? Gomer, and maintained the antediluvian religion of the patriarchs, bolstering Wales' religious credentials. I just told you something that you're freaking out. I know you're freaking out wherever you're at in the world. These students, these historians studying this and taking the written and the oral tradition, all these things, and putting them together. What did they figure out? Looking at Hebrew and Welsh, which are very tied together, remarkably, and the religious practices of the Druids and of the Old Testament practices. Listen to this again. The Welsh Druids had received from information. Where did they get it from? I'll let you figure that one out. And maintained the antediluvian religion of the patriarchs. Who are the patriarchs? Potentially Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These dudes, they're bad apples, I'm sure of it. So, have you ever looked at, I got to do this sooner, I got to switch this over real quick too. We're going to have to get a new system, but OBS works for everybody else, but not me. Okay. You guys ever seen this building before? Anyone? This building? Look, if you're a Christian and you saw a Stonehenge, you're like, who did that? Why would they build stones? Doesn't make any sense. And you hear things like maybe it was the Tower of Babel. We heard that at one point. It's like lined up on the certain. Like, how could they do this? If you believe in the theory of evolution, how did they get these stones there? Why? Why did they do this? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, there's probably some weird hunter-gatherer cave people. They're just making things up. Probably, right? Beetlejuice answered that. No. Gomer, the son of Japheth, the grandson of Noah, got off the boat, booked it to Wales, started this area, and the people, the Gomerites that followed him, had received the information of the religious system of the pre-flood world. How do you like your history now? Stonehenge was built by Noah's grandson as some sort of antediluvian religious something. Portal, temple, who cares? So we could make this could be a 10-part series. It gets better. These two now mentioned gentlemen, having by different methods, these are the two researchers, historians, opened a way of resolving diverse tongues in Europe to one mother language, which these guys said they knew what it was. I hoped my pains would not be ill spent if I endeavored by the demonstration of this table to mount it one step higher, that is, to resolve that our first distinguished Gomerian into the very original and fountainhead of all the most ancient patriarchal Hebrew tongue. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, is there something that we can look at to kind of confirm this? I hope this video plays sound. It's going to. You ready for this?
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Lang Focus channel, and my name is Paul. Today we're going to examine some strange similarities between Celtic languages and Semitic languages. We know what the world is like in the 21st century, but what was the world like in the 1st century, or 1,000 years before that? We have some written records from those days, but to a large extent we have to imagine. The Celtic languages and the
Did you hear that? Can you imagine what it was like 1,000 years ago, about 3,000 ago? We have no idea. We have to, he used the word imagination. We have to imagine it. Nobody knows. So, we just make up a story. We're all cavemen. Mm-hmm. Or we go by history, by the people who were there and the story they told. Okay. What did they find out, Paul? Not a great name for like a language expert. He should probably change his name.
The Celtic languages and...
Sorry, if you have the name Paul. I shouldn't have said that. It's like I study languages and my name is Bob.
Extent we have to imagine. The Celtic languages and the Semitic languages are, as far as we know, entirely separate language families. The Celtic languages being a branch of the wider Indo-European language family, and the Semitic languages being a part of the wider Afro-Asiatic language family.
Okay, here we go. Step one. Well, we know, we have to imagine history. What we know is that because whatever, out of Africa and whatever else they want to teach you, it's certainly not the same language. Sure, the historians wrote this and whatever, but one comes from Afro-Asiatic because, you know what's crazy? Let me interrupt myself. If you think I'm like rude for interrupting you, I interrupt myself even. You know why they think there's an Afro-Asiatic and an Indo-European? Because biblically minimalist academic individuals, just like in geology and in biology and in archaeology, they went, it's not the Bible. No, because if we trace this all back to one language, that would sound like the Bible. And we don't like that, generally. It's crazy. Like, people think I got out of conspiracy. I'm not out of conspiracy. I'm in the biggest conspiracy there is. Them actually hiding your history from you. So what do they do here? They go, yeah, we know it's from two languages, right? This is what he says. When you've researched this enough, you really get to see how this all fits together. Okay.
Languages being a part of the wider
Wait, let me rewind this to her.
Of the wider, as far as we know, entirely separate language families.
Separate language.
The Celtic languages being a branch of the wider Indo-European language family, and the Semitic languages being a part of the wider
Totally
Afro-Asiatic language family. But there are a number of curiously similar features that are shared between the two groups of languages. I've spent some time studying Hebrew, both biblical and modern, as well as some biblical Aramaic and some Arabic. Later, when examining insular Celtic languages, I noticed their similarities with Semitic languages, and I found them intriguing. And when I looked into it, I discovered that these similarities are well known to linguists. Let's look at some of those similarities, and then we'll look at some possible reasons for these similarities.
You've seen me spend a lot of time on this channel melting down when the people tell you the thing that's not true because they don't like the Bible. This is a brilliant researcher of language, a linguist, and he goes, they're the same. They shouldn't be the same. We know it's two separate languages. And he goes, I made a connection here. He probably got fired. It's like, hey, professor. Hey, prof. That's what they call them. Did you ever notice that there's a connection between Semitic and Welsh? That's crazy. They shouldn't be. In time and distance, there shouldn't be. The guy's like, yeah, we know. What do you mean you know? Why didn't you teach me this? Because I'm in school and I learned from you. Why didn't you teach me this? Because we don't like that. Science. Get out of here. This guy has to figure this out on his own. He had to figure this out on his own. Yeah. Well, anyways, if I can find the end part of this, I'm not going to have you break down the whole thing. It's a verb. It's a syntax of the language, though. It has to do with verb, subject, object. That's what they do. So the describer, the subject, and then the object. And a bunch of things. I nerded out on it, but I'm not going to make you guys watch it. So he tries to figure out why. He's like, why did this happen? So he looks into this here. This is his reconciliatory
Such
adventure with
theories
us.
are inconclusive and unproven, but are they far-fetched? Not really. We know that continuous human settlement in Ireland and Great Britain began thousands of years before the arrival of the Celts. And we know that while there were hunter-gatherers in Europe already, early farmers began migrating to Europe from the Near East, Anatolia and the Levant, during the Neolithic period. One theory, the Anatolian theory, suggests that these farmers brought Indo-European with them, but it's more widely believed that Indo-Europeans arrived later, during the Chalcolithic and Bronze periods. If that's the case, what kind of language did the farmers migrating from the Near East speak? It's possible that they spoke an Afro-Asiatic language. One linguist, Theo Vennemon, has theorized that between 5000 and 2500 BCE, seafaring peoples, whom he refers to as Paleo-Phoenicians, spread the megalithic culture of large stone structures all the way up the Atlantic coast to Ireland, the British Isles, and beyond, and brought their Afro-Asiatic language with them.
I like Theo Vennemon. I don't have him in my mind in the same space as Gomer. I like Theo more than Gomer, a lot more. I bet you Theo was a real hoot at the office party. How do you think they thought of old Theo? Hey guys, I think a really advanced group of I'll call them Paleo-Phoenicians, because I can maybe get away with that without saying the sons of Noah. I think that they probably brought the languages up there. What do you think of that? And they probably also built the big ruins like Stonehenge. Theo, they probably killed him. We didn't hear from Theo after that. Theo broke the system. He broke it. He broke science. Theo's like, you know what? Based on the data and intuition, That's the best way we can explain this. They're like, you'll never work in this town again, Theo. It doesn't matter that you're right. That's actually a problem. In a world system built on lies, the truth is the enemy, Theo. You can see your way out now. Our true history is so exciting. It's so good. So, yeah, think about that. You got the red-haired, Celtic strong people building Stonehenge. What I'm telling you is it's the grandson of Noah, of the Noah. Yeah, Noah of the boat, the captain of the boat that saved humanity. How do you like that? Hey, atheists. How you like them Gomers? Didn't come out as good as I was thinking. Apples is already used. Gomer seems like a really weird fruit. Gomer. How do you like that Gomer fruit? Better. Take two. Hey, yes. How do you like that Gomer fruit? Eat it. Oh boy, I'm off the rails already. Here's the thing, though. That's true. That's the history. Okay. They want to say the picture of those guys throwing rocks at woolly mammoths. That's not history. That's made up. That's imagined. Imagination. That was imagination. The truth is, these people got up there and built them rocks, and they were the sons of Gomer, and they spoke Gomereg, and they still do today. Fairy tale. If somebody tells you the Bible's a fairy tale, in the nicest way you can say it to them, just say that's an ignorant thing to say. You either haven't done the research or you're lying. I said that to Deconstruction Zone today. Not about that, but something else. I love you. That's wrong, and I'm not calling you stupid. It's your stance is not based on knowing. It's ill-conceived and not based on knowledge. Well, the Welsh, yeah, sons of Gomer. How about that? How about that? Okay, that was one name. We've got 13 more to go. How do you think this is going to go tonight, you guys? I know it's going to have to be 2 parts. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get going here. Okay, the good news is I've got a little bit of a dry spot here. Let's go back to the map. It's important that we go back to the map. The map is our map. You need a map. Know where you're going. Okay. Gomer town. Gomerton. Ashkenaz. There's a whole thing there. And partially I'm uncomfortable with it. But partially it's between Togarmah and Ashkenaz. There's a good chance that a large chunk of the Germanic people is from Ashkenaz. There's a lot of ironies in there. Anyways, we're going to go over to Mesheck. Actually, we're going to go to Magog first. Everybody knows that, right? Gog and Magog, it's Russia. Like, we all know that, right? Daniel, it's like, oh, that's when Russia attacks Israel. Okay. Here we go. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do Magog, and then we're going to do Tubal and Mesheck, and then hopefully it'll like, break the seal and we can get moving. Maybe not, though. I'm kind of having fun. Let me know in the chat if you want the, like, color version or if you just want to get to facts. Let me know. Oh, what am I doing? I'm doing a show. I was there for that. Okay, map, go away. This is what I need Neuralink to go to the next page. Okay. Okay. The descendants of Magog. This is I said I only use secular sources. I kind of had to cram here at the end. The descendants of Magog were scattered. Oh, because this is like a Christian thing or something. But the descendants of Magog were scattered away from the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11. So where did they go? Ancient historical records reveal the descendants of Magog scattered into various regions of the world. Josephus records that the Scythians were descendants of Magog. The Scythians had a reputation for being anti-religion. Shocker. I'm telling you, Japhath was bad eggs. Anti-religion. That agrees with Russia's reputation today. Not sure about that. The church father Jerome writes, Scythian nations, fierce and innumerable, who live beyond the Caucasus and Lake Maeotis and near the Caspian Sea and spread out onward to India. The Goths. So anyways, you got this idea, this chunk of the area ends up being Russia, basically, generally Magog. Okay, moving on. That's it. It's kind. I don't want to say it's inconclusive, but it's like we kind of know Russia is Magog. But if we look back at the map really quickly, Russia's big place. So you got Magog here in the middle, We're just going to call generally Russia Magog, but we're going to actually nail down 2 cities that are brilliant. Brilliant information here. Okay. This isn't a city yet. This is called the Mesheck lowlands. It's a plain of roughly triangular shape, bounded by 2 rivers, Oka from the south and Moskva River from the southwest. It's an area in Russia. Okay. It is named after the Finnic Mesheck people who used to live in this territory and later assimilated by the Russia. So this Mesheck area... Ooh, actually, I learned something cool earlier. I wanted to pull that up. Let's look at the maps. Where is it at? Here's Mesheck. If you guys have a MacBook and you lose your tab, Control-Shift-T. Really helped me out with this research. Okay, we got Mesheck. Mesheck. I can put a K in there. There's not one. It's permanently closed. They closed the lowlands. They closed the river. So here it is in Russia, right? Whoop. We're looking in that kind of Magog area, but just north of it. Mesheck is very close to Moscow. Okay? Mesheck. Does that sound like anybody? Let's go back to this really quickly. Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, and Mesheck. Mesheck is the name we're looking for here. We can make like a legitimate game out of this thing. That's Mesheck. I'm going to close these as I go. Okay, here we go. Was this area named after Mesheck? Moreover, according to a legend that first appeared in the Kievan Synopsis in 1674, and I pulled it up, it's a legitimate historical document, the Kievan Synopsis, 3 centuries. It's brilliant. I could have read the whole thing, but I didn't have time. But okay, according to this book, this historical account, Moscow or Moskva was founded by King Mesheck, son of Japheth, Mesheck, and was named after him and his wife, Kava. You see how this works with the name? Mesheck, Moscow, Moskva. It's language. Like, how do you say this? How do you say that? Listen, have a guy in the far south talk to a guy in the far north and see if they can even understand each other. But it's the same beginning, same end, the same sounds, same kind of syllable. It's the same basic root idea. Expounding on this further, let's see here. Son of Japheth called Sathmahes had begun settling what became Gaul, 13th year of Nimrod. Later historians such as Raphael, whoever, in 1577, these are historians, in 1577, identified Sathmahes, whatever, as Mesheck, and asserted that he first ruled in Britain. Beginning from the 16th century, some European scholars proposed the idea that the Muscovites had stemmed from Mesheck, the Moshekites, whatever. Attributes this opinion to blah, blah, blah. It says here, the King Moscow of Japheth was named for him and his wife Kava. So you had Mosheckva, Moscow. Okay. In this legend, they are also said to have had a son Ya, which makes sense, and a daughter Vuza, which they gave the name to the nearby river, the Yavuza or the Yauza River. Okay. Moscow, that area, potentially settled by Mesheck, son of Japheth. Here's the next one. Tubal Cain. If you're familiar with the Noah's movie, he had a very big part of it. He was the first artificer. He built weapons of war. Look, he's got his red hair. Shocker. Is he tied to this? Japheth was a bad dude. Not that people with red hair are bad, but this is a specific bad group of potentially. I mean, look, I'll be weird as YouTube. Potentially cannibals. Certainly worshiping the earth. Certainly barbarians. I need to do some research to find out if what Winnemucca was dealing with the red-haired giants over there, if they were related to this guy. I bet you they were. Okay, Tubal. Remember the name Tubal. Imagine if in this area there was things named Tubal. Here we go. The Tubal River. Tubal is the river. You can't see it because it's too far to the left. Let me see if I can make this actually something you can see. Dyslexia, trying to find which way my screen goes. It goes this way. Okay, YouTube. Let me slide this over to here. Look, you guys. Tubal River. Tubal River. Great. See where it is? Russia. Right in that area. Tubal River. The town of Tobolsk. Yeah, Tobolsk. Founded in 1590. Is the second oldest Russian settlement. Probably to Mesheck. Whatever. East of Ural, mountains in Asian Russia. Historical capital of the Siberia region. So you have Tubal and Tobolsk. The river named after Tubal, and the town named after Tubal. It's not a stretch to say that Tubal became Tobal, is it? Is that a stretch, atheists? And there's a city in Georgia, very near there. Here it is. Let's zoom out a little bit if we can. Can we zoom out? Look at this. Same area, a little bit further south. There's no redundancy. It's Georgia. You go further up, you're going to end up... My map's a little bit off. So you had Moscow up here, Magog down here, and then you have Tubelsky. And I'm just going out and out and out. I'm trying to go in. Capital of Georgia. Tubal Easy. Tubal Easy is the capital today. It's the capital today of Georgia. The capital of Georgia, which isn't a state. It is a state. It's a country. South of Russia. Yep. Tubalsky. Brilliant, right? Okay. Take a quick break. I see there's a live commercial going on. How are we doing so far, you guys? I almost want to set up like a probability matrix where I go, what would be the chances that this book would get this right? This is a good kind of intermission time to say, if the Bible got one of these right, like, lucky. Two of them, three of them. When you start to piece together that this book talks about all of these people in disparate places all around what was the world at that time. Obviously, we expanded out, and we're all just descended from those people. You add that to the 6 to 10,000 years blue eye thing. You add that to life beginning in civilization, and you start to get all these names lined up. Like, look, this is very important for you to think about. The people in Africa weren't coordinating with the people in Wales about what to call their city. Okay? It wasn't, hey, you guys have heard that book? We should name our place after these people in this book. No. These people actually existed, and they actually founded cities. And it says in the Bible somewhere that the cities were named after them. Okay. What does the map say? We got to go back to the map. Back to the map. I'm the Mac, and I know that. Some of you know why I did that. Okay. Where are we at? Mesheck, Magog, Tubal, Russia, sons of Japheth. Japheth was a maniac. We're going to go to Madai. Now, I don't know much about this. The further east and south we go, the lesser I know. But Madai was a... Where is this at? Let's get rid of Madai here for a second and go back to... Producer. Go over here. Table of Nations. Who do we got so far? Gomer, Magog, Tubal, Mesheck. We've got Madai, Javan, and Tyrus. Madai. You ever heard of the Medes? The Madais? The Medes, or the Midians, Madians, that's even better, were a group of Indo-Iranian speaking people from Central Asia who migrated westward and entered northern Turkey around the end of the 2nd millennium BCE. This is not an advocate for creation science. World Encyclopedia. That's who the Medes are. The Medes, Mada, used to be called Mada, an Akkadian, Matmadaia in ancient Greek. Madai, Madai, Medoi in Latin, Medi, were an ancient Iranian people who spoke the Median language and who inhabited an area known as Media. It was named Media between western and northern Iraq. Yeah. Back to the map. That dude Madai was the son of Japheth. And that area, the Medes, the Medes and the Persians. Remember that whole thing? The Medes, yeah. They were the descendants of Madai. The Madians, the Medes. Okay, clockwise, moving around. Javan is probably my least interesting research. People love Greek history, and the Bible fitting in with it doesn't really wet the historical willies of the people who the people over there. So anyways, here we go. The Jewish Chronicles. Hanukkah celebrates the Jewish victory over the Yevaim. Maybe it's not Hanukkah. I think it is anyways. Over the Yevaim, the Greeks. The name Yavin goes back to Genesis 10, which lists Yavin as one of Yefet's son, from whom the Torah tells us the maritime branch. The Torah tells us the maritime nations branched out. In Greek mythology, the father of the Ionians, an ancient group of Greeks, was called Ion, a name not too removed from Yavan. Sanskrit refers to Greece. Okay, we're good, yeah? I'm so glad my son's helping me with this. Okay, cool. This is great. It's fun. Remember that night that VOR did that show and told everybody how real the Bible was, and it was like super crazy information, and there was a poltergeist in his microphone? Gomer, probably. Okay. So check this out. I don't know where I lost you guys. Yavin. You hear my son yell for me? Okay, where do we go here? I was talking about Yavin. This is my least interesting part of this, probably. So I'll just quickly go through it. Yavin, the son of Japheth. Javan is Yavin. Potentially the Ionians. I probably have to just go through this again a little bit because I'm going to have to cut these parts out anyways. So basically, because I don't know where I lost you, the Hebrew people call the Greeks the Javans, the Yavanites, the Yavin. This is what they've called it. And then in India, the Sanskrit, they call the Greeks, they call them the Yavana. So it's like they're fighting them, and they're like, "Who say ye?" They're like, "We are sons of Yavin. We're the Yavanites." They're like, "Okay, they're the Yavanites, right?" And then them, the scientists, the historians, they say this. The theory states that the word Yavana was derived from the Sanskrit root yu, which means to mix or to mingle, signifying a mixed people. Science? Okay. Think about this. The word is literally the name of Yavin. They're the Yavana people. And the theory states that the word Yavana came from the word you, why, you, or it came from Javin. You hacks. Anyways, Yavana people. In early Indian literature, either Greek or another foreigner, the word appears, whatever, so they called in the Yavanites, the Yavana. Okay. This next one is really exciting. Ooh, don't talk too loud. I think that's why I keep losing the microphone. It clips out or something. Yeah, for people in the chat and people watching this, there's a lot to the Grecian people. And there's a beautiful, rich history. And I'm a little bit hesitant to even cover that because there's more to it than they're just the sons of Yavin. There's other grandsons, and the Bible talks about more of that. And there's a lot of mixing. And they were close enough to Shem that there was some Shem involvement. And you ended up with Togar and Mun. There's more to it than just that. So I'm just going to brush that and say the Hebrew people call the Greeks the Yavanites, the native, or the Indian people in their Sanskrit, they call them the Yavanites. That is at least some part when they were started, potentially how they were known. And there's more to that history. We know more about Greek history, and there's a lot to that. So, okay, closing the book on Javin. Now, this next part I'm super excited about. And I'm wondering, I can feel that I'm going to run out of gas. We've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. I think we're good. We might be able to finish this thing. Let's keep going. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will be able to cut out those audio glitch parts as soon as TikTok, or as soon as YouTube allows me. Okay, so we're around the clock. Mad-eye evidence for every single one of these people all the way around to this day, down to Yavin. Now we're going to Tyrus. Okay, this is super interesting. Super interesting. Who is Tyrus, you ask? You don't ask? I pretend I'm you and I ask me. Tyrus is... Oh, it did the thing again. See what I can do with her? So I've got to go and I've got to change this. So it's like a whole thing. It's like it has like a mini stroke. Okay, change that to that. And then I'll change it back to that. As long as I can know. As long as my son can quickly let me know. Okay, so we're back looking at the sons of okay, we go back here. Japheth. So we've got Gomer, Magog, Mad-eye. We've got Gomer, Magog, Mad-eye, Yavin, Tubal, Mesheck. Oh, we're getting down the list. Now Tyrus. I didn't know anything about Tyrus. I didn't know anything about this guy. He, you know what? My wife and I were talking about this. You know what was really boring when you were a kid? Was geology. It's like, oh, you like geology? It's like rocks. What if geology was actually looking at the flood evidence? What if they renamed geology, discovering that the whole world was destroyed by the living God via a flood, and there's evidence of it everywhere? Probably be interesting, right? No, they got to make it boring. They got to weed out the creative people, and it's got to make it boring. Go be a geologist. Well, they do that with history too. It's like, I didn't like the Thracians. I don't know who they are. The Thracians are super interesting and horribly evil, and definitely from Japheth, the bad apple. We're going to learn about the Thracians. You ready? You ready to learn about the... VOR tries to make history fun. Okay, are you ready to learn about the Thracians? The word Thrace, from ancient Greek, Thrake, referred originally to the Thracians, an ancient people inhabiting southeast Europe. You can see there on the map kind of where that is. Let's see here. This is Thrace. There's a picture of it behind my head. Can't see it. The Thracians, romanticized Thrakes, Latin Thraci, were an Indo-European speaking people who inhabited large parts of Southeast Europe. Okay, so we get an idea who the Thracians are. Check this out.
The Thracians are the most powerful people in the world, except of course the Indians, and if they had one head, or were agreed among themselves, it is my belief that their match could not be found anywhere, and that they would very far surpass all other nations. But such union is impossible for them, and there are no means for ever bringing it about. Herein, therefore, consists their weakness. The Thracians bear many names in the different regions of their country, but all of them have like usages in every respect, excepting only the Getae, the Truci, and those who dwell above the people of Creston. Now the manners and customs of the Getae, who believe in their immortality, I have already spoken of. The Truci, in all else, resemble the other Thracians, but have customs at births and deaths, which I will now describe. When a child is born, all its kindred sit round about in a circle and weep for the woes it will have to undergo now that it has come into the world, making mention of every ill that falls to the lot of humankind. When, on the other hand, a man has died, they bury him with laughter and rejoicings, and say now he is free from a host of sufferings and enjoys the completest happiness. The Thracians who live above the Crestonians observe the following customs. Each man among them has several wives, and no sooner does a man die than a sharp contest ensues among the wives upon the question, which of them all the husband loved most tenderly. The friends of each eagerly plead on her behalf, and she to whom the honor is adjudged, after receiving the praises of both men and women, is slain over the grave by the hand of the next of kin, and then buried with her husband. The others are sorely grieved, for nothing is considered such a disgrace. The Thracians who do not belong to these tribes have the customs which follow. They sell their children to traders. On their maidens they keep no watch, but leave them altogether free, while on the conduct of their wives they keep a most strict watch. Brides are purchased of their parents for large sums of money. Tattooing among them marks noble birth, and the want of it low birth. To be idle is accounted the most honorable thing, and to be a tiller of the ground the most dishonorable. To live by war and plunder is of all things the most glorious. These are the most remarkable of their customs. The gods which they worship are but three: Mars, Bacchus, and Dion.
Mars, the god of war, Bacchus, the god of wine and ecstasy, and Dion, better known as She-Zeus, not to be confused with Jesus.
Their kings, however, unlike the rest of their citizens, worship Mercury more than any other god, always swearing by his name, and declaring that they are themselves sprung from him.
Does this sound at all like the antediluvian religious system that the Gomer gang is involved in? I gotta explain this to you really quickly. This is not a new thing. This antediluvian religious system is this philosophy, this scientific system. It's all the same thing. That's why Democritus was under the Persian Xerxes, and he learned about materialism. They don't believe in materialism. Let me explain something to you. They don't believe that everything is reduced to matter. They want you to believe that. Because if you knew that what you believed and what you said and what you thought affected matter, you'd be a problem. You think Rockefeller wants a nation of workers? The people in charge want a citizenry of loyal servants. And they can say, your God is the god of war and the god of ecstasy, and you can stay busy, and you can fight each other, and you can kill each other, and blah, blah, blah. This is who God is. These are the gods, She-Zeus and Mars. They don't believe it. The people at the top, they don't believe it. They worship Mercury, who is the god of financial gain, commerce, eloquence, messages, communication, travelers, and luck. Old lucky Mercury. That's the little g god of this world. That's who Mercury is. That's probably the bad guy. And that's who the kings worship. And they swear by his name. You shouldn't swear. They do, because it's not an anti-God thing. But they tell the people to believe in war god and sex god. And maybe hermaphrodite, whatever, Zeus, She-Zeus. The power structure, this is what we're up against with VOR and other people that are doing creation apologetics. Not many people get into the conspiracy side and kind of the bigger picture. A lot of it's more like we believe in the Bible. But when we're debating atheism, Christianity versus atheism, and the validity of the Bible, I need to make this very clear to you. The people at the top don't believe in the theory of evolution. They don't believe in materialism. Okay? They serve Mercury. They probably know Mercury. They know we're made in the image of God. They laugh that you believe that you're made in the image of a monkey. I understand it's a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are horrible poop-throwing animals. You're made in the image of God, and they've convinced you to believe that you're made in the image of a chimpanzee. They don't believe it. Just like the Thracians, kings don't believe in the gods of sex and war. It'll always work. The people at the top believe one thing, and they force the people below them to believe another thing to control them. Welcome to reality. Okay, the Thracians were bad apples. Now that public service announcement is up, The Thracians are bad apples, and they are the son of Japheth, their patriarch Tyrus. I said that very dramatically, and I wasn't sharing my screen. Let me do that again. Son of Japheth, Tyrus. They follow... The Thracians were the Tyratians, the sons of Tyrus. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And they probably had a very similar belief system to Uncle Gomer. His brother. Yeah, Uncle Gomer. Yeah. Hey, Uncle Gomer, he's doing some really good stuff up there with the rocks and the killing and stuff. Yeah, we should do that. We could be better. The Tyratians. You could look into the Thracians. Okay, I can tell you this. I can partially tell you this because I had to dig to find what I'm telling you. There's a whole Thracians, like, fanboy thing. They're like the killer like people in my lives that are like pagans and stuff. People love the Thracians, like the 300 and Sparta. In that video, I'm actually going to share every one of these sources in the description of this video. When it's all done and edited, it's going to be up, so you can look up at all my sources. On that video, there's Thracians that are like, "You've done our people proud," and they look different. They're like very Neanderthal looking. Sorry, that was but this is like Neanderthals have like a different nose and a different chin. Like they look like beasts, like beastly humans. I don't know how to say this. I'm trying not to be like negative, but like, have you ever seen a Grecian person? Bigger, like they look different than Americans. That's what happens. Anyways, Thracians are like, we love our people. You know what isn't told? We descend from Tyrus. We're the Tyrasians of the sons of Japheth, the grandson of Noah. Leave that part out. Like, where does Tyrus come from? I don't know. They sold tires. They built tires. Tire people. Tire men. Nope. Tyrus. Sons of Tyrus. The Bible's true. It's just what it is. Okay. Okay. Map. I almost want to do this with you guys. Like, now we have to play that song. Back to the map. I'm the Mac, and I know that. Like every time it goes back to the map, you guys do it like a drinking game, but a rapping game. Here we go, round and round. Tyrus. We're going to do Tarshish. And I think what we're going to do here is we're going to cover Tarshish. This is just mind-blowing. This is a really good, like, crescendo-y thing. And then we're going to try and, almost like skipping a rock, we're going to try and do Ham and Shem fairly quickly. Okay, we're an hour and a half in. Feeling pretty good about it. I think we can do this in 30-ish minutes. It's going to be just over 2 hours. Good. Stick with it or watch it later. Okay. Tarshish. If you watched my interview with True Christian Ministry, you'll know a little bit where I'm going here. But this one is dear to me as a researcher because I came across this information 9 months ago. A lot of you guys know this. It's a one-man show. My wife helps me. She built the map. She does the administrative stuff. But I do all the video editing. I do all the researching, all the writing, obviously I do all the tech stuff. And I just can't get on paper what needs to be gotten on paper. If there's somebody that can be an on-paper getter, if that's your job, I could use you. Okay. Shout out to Marissa, who's actually at this point an on-paper getter. Thank you for helping me. She's helping us to write we got a project going. We're going to make the operating system and pitch it to Angel Studios. So thank you for being an on-paper getter. We need more on-paper getters. Okay. This is really exciting to me because I came across this information about 9 months ago and I wanted to make videos on it. The problem is I try to very much vet every video I make because I just know Dan McClellan and Blitz and all these guys are going to come at me. And I don't care if they come at me. I don't want them to find a hole in my thing and go, he's manipulating the data. So if I can't stand on this and go, yeah, come at me, I don't make the video. But I came across this months ago. And basically it has to do with Solomon and his navy. And there's substantial evidence. David existed. The Tel Dan Steel proved this idea. David and Goliath. They all existed. These guys all existed. The people in charge of academia have been trying to convince you they don't exist. And it's like, oh, it's like whack-a-mole. They don't exist. They don't exist. And they just keep popping up. Just keeps popping up. David exists. Solomon existing is a problem. Okay, well, Solomon married Sheba. No, I don't say they got married. Biblical sense. She came and brought him gifts, and he gave her a gift, and she came home with the gift, which is Solomon's son, Melanick, who started the modern kingdom of Ethiopia. Not the ancient kingdom. That was Cush, which we'll get to in a minute. I don't know why this is Cush. It's pointing to the part in the map. Cush. Anyways. Pre-Cush, post-Cush. So he has these mines in Spain with his navy. Solomon does. And he had to get, like, when I found this out, like, let's just use the guy Donald Trump. He's made a lot of money. He's got buildings in Chicago, and he's got buildings there, and he was a landlord. He started doing this and making trades. He's got his hand, to get that much money, he's got his hands in a lot of things. Not everybody makes money like Jeff Bezos, where they take over the world like a supervillain with a business idea. Solomon had business ventures around the world, probably. And he existed. So I knew about his navy. There's evidence of him being in the Gulf of Aqaba and him having mines and stuff. But this information about Tarshish is really exciting. So, much ado. Here we go. Much ado. Don't do it. Much ado don't. What do I have to do here? Share. Get rid of Mappy. Change this. Okay. Tartessos. You can't see that? I can. Tartessos. Has anybody heard of Tartessos? Somebody in the chat says, what do I mean by on paper getter? Nobody knows what I mean ever. I just mean an actuator. Is that cleared up? I need help taking ideas and making them fungible. I have a lot of non-fungible ideas. I'm not making this any clearer. Makes sense to me. Okay, Tartessos. If you've heard of Tartessos, you win. What? Nothing. But it's cool if you knew that, because I didn't know that, and I've done a lot of research. Tartessos, the Tartessian culture, existed from the 9th to the 6th centuries BCE. BC. It's a misspelling there with that E. In the southwesternmost part of Spain. Southwest part of Spain. So not the close part of Spain, the other side, the roundabout side of Spain. Further, because it's the east, right? Middle East, south and west is further, so up and around. I love this kind of stuff. The Iberian civilization that vanished. We don't know what happened. Mystery and myth surround the ancient society of Tartessos. It was even linked to, anybody want to guess what it was linked to? Don't say Atlantis VOR. Because I'm going to lose it. I'm out. For those of you that don't know, Atlantis is the antediluvian world. Okay? It was a very advanced civilization that they thought was a utopia that the gods got mad at and flushed into the toilet. It's the pre-flood world. But excavations and technology are shedding new light on the culture. After crunching across a gravel path surrounded by standing here in the Gardenian Valley of Extremadura regions, western Spain, Extremadura, I should probably just say it. I imagine how different this dusty and arid flatland would have appeared 2,500 years ago when it was a hub of trade in the worship of Tartessos, a mysterious Iberian society that thrived between 9th and 5th centuries BC, then abruptly disappeared. Going back millennia, Tartessos had been referred to in Greek and Roman texts, but due to conflicting descriptions, and for a long time a lack of conclusive archaeological evidence, it had not been easy for modern historians and archaeologists to pinpoint what Tartessos even was. A city, a kingdom, a river? Herodotus, the Greek historian from the 5th century BC, wrote a harbor city about this. Okay, did you notice how that they included, they're trying to figure, what is Tartessos? This is a mystery. I don't know what's Tartessos. Let's look back at Greek and Roman texts, which are like, what, 1,500 years later? How about you look at the book that says who they are? It's a good idea. Oh, you don't want to look at the book because you refuse the book. Okay, well, have fun for the next 30, 50, 100 years, whatever, and the book will be here when you're ready. We'll just be waiting for you, okay? What is Tartessus? It's such a mystery. I don't know what it is. What do King Solomon, Andalusia's Rio Tinto mines, Andalusia is a place in Spain. Oh, by the way, this is the Olive Press, Spain's leading expat newspaper. This is a Spanish newspaper, not creation website. What do King Solomon, Andalusia's Rio Tinto mines, NASA and Mars have in common? Here it is. This is the Rio Tinto mines. It's been mined thoroughly mined. Let's see here. The mining complex is immense. Since 3000 BC, you don't say. When did they start mining it? Just humans have been around for 190,000 years. Remember, 190,000 years. 190,000 years humans have been around. When did it start being mined? 3000 BC. So about 300 years. About 300 years from when Noah got off the boat. When did they say that the Gomer goofballs ended up in Wales? When did they say that happened? It's about 300 years. Take about 300 years to get from Turkey to your new homeland. Okay, interesting. Fluke. Okay, has been mined for copper, silver, and gold. King Solomon and his Phoenician allies, circa 1000 BC, were quick to discover the vast mineral wealth. How did King Solomon was quick to discover this? The people were very smart back then. Solomon was very smart. They knew about the mines in Spain, and he wanted them because he was the richest man around. And he bought them, whatever, Jeff Bezos, however he did this. Okay. Although the legendary mines of King Solomon are shrouded in myth and Old Testament allegory. Let me read that again. It's got the stank of the Bible on it. Although the legendary mines of Solomon got the stank of the Bible on it, there is, although the Bible says, at the same time I want you to see the world through my eyes, I wouldn't wish that on you, honestly. You could ask my wife, my sweet wife. My hair lights on fire, proverbially, and I run around the house like a maniac. I dive under the couch cushions. I walk outside. I process this information at once, and it's like just a beam of information on my brain. It melts my brain, like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Can we just read this line again? This absolute hit piece. It's really hard for me not to say bad words, and I'm doing really good to not say them, because what I want to say, I want to really express the angst I'm feeling, but I can't. Okay. Although the legendary mines of King Solomon are shrouded in the stank of the Bible, there happens to be tangible archaeological evidence to suggest that it probably happened. Once we can just get past that whole thing the Bible said, we can accept the truth. Losers. That's the best I can say. Okay, because they're losing. That's why. See, I wasn't even being mean. I was just speaking factually. You're wrong. You lost. Okay. There is tangible archaeological evidence to suggest that much of the opulence of King Solomon's temple was sourced from Rio Tinto. So, okay, now Solomon's real. He had a navy. He had ships. They were going all the way to the southwest part of Spain, and he was doing it at this physical, actual place on Earth that they know about today. And how do they know about it today? What is this mine called? It is estimated that some 30 tons of gold and 30,000 tons of silver. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. I kind of want to do that math. If someone in the chat could do that for me, I'll say it on air. Do me a favor, find out how, it's going to take a little bit of math. I needed somebody to be a put it down on paper kind of guy or gal. How much gold is per ounce, and how many ounces there are in a ton, and multiply that by 30 for me. I can do the tons of silver one. It's probably $20. Let's say $20 an ounce. I can't do the silver one. I have 16 ounces in a pound, 32. I don't know. It's a really bad system. Let me know. You guys figure it out. Tell me how much money that is, please. It is estimated that some 30 tons of gold and 30,000 tons of silver adorned his famous temples. Archaeologists and mineralogists believe a significant percentage of his treasure was in fact mined from Rio Tinto. Yeah, real scientists, yeah. Okay. A section of the mining complex is still known today as Cerro Solomon. Cerro meaning hill, and Solomon meaning, you guessed it, Solomon. The real Solomon, yeah. Will the real Solomon please stand up? Okay. Meanwhile, nearby place in the pueblos, Zayema, La Vieja, Zalema Vieja, whatever, La Vieja, Old Solomon, and Zalema, real Solomon. The names strongly suggest that the king was a full partner in the Rio Tinto mining project. 960,000 ounces of silver, 960 million ounces at $20 an ounce. That is 1.8 billion, maybe, dollars. And the gold's potentially worth maybe a considerable amount, maybe more. $2,000 per ounce with gold. Metric tons, yeah, you guys are getting there. Good work, everybody. Let me know. Give me when you guys are all done, you guys chat this out, give me a number, the dollar amount that was worth. Solomon's richest man alive. He probably really was. Yeah, the Bible's true. Okay, so anyways, so Solomon had these mines, right, named after him. Yeah, science, history, whatever, named after him in a place in Spain called Tartessos. Ready for this? Rio Tinto mines. Hey, look, there they are. Rio Tinto mines in Spain. It's in Spain. The king had a fleet of trading ships of Tarshish. Bummer. I was wrong. I was thinking that the Spain mines, that Solomon was in there, but the Bible says that it was actually in Tarshish. The king had a fleet of trading ships of Tarshish manned by the sailors of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the ships returned loaded with gold, silver, ivory, apes. That's got to be something else. Ain't nobody need apes and peacocks. Tarshish, bummer. I thought we were onto something there. Tartessus, Encyclopedia Britannica. Tartessus, ancient region and town in the Guadalquivir River Valley in southwestern Spain, probably identical with the Tarshish mentioned in the Bible. Yes, Tartessus and Tarshish is the same word. I mean, we don't have English to Spanish words that are even that close a lot of times. That's remarkably close. So Tarshish was Tartessos. Tartessos was in Spain. And let's go back to our Genesis 10. Japheth has Yavin. Yavin has Tarshish. Tarshish was a real human being. Tarshish was the guy who started Tartessos. Tartessos is Spain. That's where Solomon did his work. Solomon was a real guy. Tarshish was a real guy. Tarshish was named after Tarshish, who was a real guy. Mm-hmm. That pretty much wraps up our tour of Europe. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the tour of Europe. Europe was founded by the sons of Noah. We shouldn't call it Europe anymore. We should call it Noah Town. Noah's Son Town. Two of Noah's Son Town. That's a long word. I'll come up with a better one. But Europe is, you're wrong. Let's do it. We're going to rename Europe You're Wrong, because it's the sons of Noah. The son of Noah, Japheth town. Let's call it Japheth town. Japup. Okay, this is the tour of Europe, and that concludes our tour. Now, what I want you to think about, I mentioned this earlier. So, we've got Tarshish where he should be, vetted by the Bible through Solomon. Multiple points of congruence there, confluence, that tie Solomon to a historical figure, to a single place doing a thing that he said he did, in a place that he should have been, named after a great-grandson of Noah. Did you guys get me a number on that? For the both gold and silver, with your calculations and mine, $1,928,673,600,000. Yeah, a trill bone. It is trill bone. Okay, I can't vet that, but my viewers are very intelligent, and I'm thinking that make you maybe the richest man alive. Let's how much money does I'm gonna look this up. We're gonna do this in real time. We're doing some Solomon stuff here. Let's see here. How much money does the richest person on earth have? Some dude is 235 billion. Bezos is 192 billion. If that's to be said, that's true, then Solomon was 10x Bezos. I love that. That's a t-shirt. Solomon was 10x Bezos. Get out, the Bible's true. People get that. Okay. The chances that these places would be named after the persons, and their history would reflect that, and their languages would reflect that, and their cultures would reflect that, and the answers to tie all of this in, I would borderline say, people always ask me, prove God is real. Yeah, prove him. It's like the stupidest thing to me, because it's like, okay, in Minecraft, prove that there's a human that made it, named Michael Person. Prove it. Can't. It's intentional. God, faith is a currency. He wants us to choose to believe in him. It's not an accident. He's not hiding, but he wants us to seek him out. I can't prove that God exists. But this is, to me, it's a borderline proof that the Bible is the most reliable, accurate historical document that humankind has. And rather than wanting to burn it and throw it away and cancel it, it should be celebrated and protected and preserved for the gem that it is. And we should be so grateful that we have it, the true history of humanity. And instead we're force-fed. The stink of the Bible's on there, and you're just a chimpanzee. We know the university, and they're just all wrong. This is borderline proof of the validity of the Bible. Another person I would love to have, honestly, if you're listening to this broadcast and you're a statistician and you could do something like this, the idea, these are some of the, at one point I need to go like full Rob Drydeck with this and just go, I have this idea, go. Because I have too many ideas and I can't get any of them to land, especially with ADD, just all these planes flying around, crashing on me. I would want to know what the probabilities would be that we would have a map. Just like it's an interesting thing to know how much money potentially Solomon had. I want to know in this swath around Europe, circumnavigating it, and also in the core of it, for these places to be named. When you have to understand there was no internet. They were speaking all different languages. They were vastly different people. For them to have the names and the history and the places and the cultures and the evidence and the languages for this man, I don't think I'll just off the top of my mind. And if we have a statistician run this, I'd be curious to know how close my intuition is. It'd be 1 in hundreds of thousands would be my guess. 1 in minimum. I would give you a metric here. 1 in 10,000 minimum, up to 1 in hundreds of thousands. 1 in 200,000, something like that. That would be my margin of error, my buffer. And I bet you it's in that area. It's not 1 in 10. It's not 1 in 10. How did the Bible get this right? Well, we know. Okay. Let's wrap up here with the Hamites and the Shemites as quickly as we can. It's not to be any kind of disrespect to these people, amazing, beautiful people, both of them, very diverse, very rich cultures, a ton of information. But my research on it, I don't have my intuition and my history connection to them, and it's I had to sort through a lot of information to provide you what I did today. So let's go here. And I could do it, and I might even do it again at some other point. Oh, good, there's a gap. That'll be good because I'm having a glitch error, of course. I might, depending on what you guys do with this information, if you all come back to me and you go, that was just, I want to know more, and I really want to know about Ham and Cush, I could do part 2 and 3 about that for sure. Because there's just as much, there might even be more. There might even actually be more with this. Because did I put it on a map? Tartessa still. Cushites. Because there's better history with a lot of these people. Now, the Canaanite stuff goes really cold because all the ites were vanquished. But there's some cool Canaanite stuff too. So, okay, let's do Ham really quickly. So that's it for the Japhethites for now. That's it. That's 2 hours run on the Japhethites. And I'm sure the Kiddites and the Rodanites, and I know Togarma has connection. I put him in France. Is France or Turkey? It's kind of conflicting information there, so I didn't go too far on it. Okay, so now we got Ham. Ham had Cush, Egypt, which is actually Mitzrayim. It's weird that it says Egypt is named Mitzrayim. Put and Canaan. We got all these dudes. We got them all 4 of them. Check, 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 check. Okay, let's look at it here. Cush. Quora and Reddit are actually really valuable. A lot of professionals and professors and stuff on there. I know it's not peer-reviewed, but it actually is peer-reviewed. It's actually literally reviewed by their peers. This is Moran Ramakwa. I apologize for butchering that. A student of Black Africa's past. Author has 506 answers and 1.9 million answer views. I'd say bona fide. Both of these modern countries were part of Cush. Cushites are simply the ones who populated the lands immediately to the south of ancient Kemet. In addition to their dark skin, these people shared similar culture and languages. Cush is a Semitic term. Shemitic, remember. The Greek term is Ethiopia. Thus, Ethiopia and Cush are essentially the same thing. Do not believe if someone tells you that modern Ethiopia does not have anything to do with Cush. But Moran, I would love to speak with you about this. Why would anybody tell you arbitrarily that Ethiopia doesn't have anything to do with Cush? Why would they tell you that? Is it because they're interested in history? No. They're interested in the Bible not being true. Wonder if it's that writer from that Spanish newspaper, The Stank of the Bible. If someone tells you the stank of the Bible on that Ethiopian, just don't take it, man. Really frustrating. The Cushites were those out of the house of Cush. Of course, they appeared to be of dark skin, as were the majority of people in the world at that time. They are mentioned in the Bible as the ancestors of the Canaanites. That's not true. That's not true. That's wrong. It's cool. I've done enough research to be able to do this. Okay, so Cush, the Cushites, Cush, let's do this. Cush, ancient map. Yeah, it was just called Cush. I mean, I'm going to find a bunch of like biblical creation stuff, which I try not to do, but it was called Cush. Now, I didn't go further south than Cush. I've got, this is about as far, we're going to go north and east from here, but Cush, it was the Cushites, and there's some really rich history about this, and she's not the only one to echo that sentiment. Etymology. The term Ethiopia was first used by the ancient Greek writers in reference to the East Oriental African kingdom that they believed not only be culturally and ethnically linked to Egypt, Kemet, but the source of such civilization as well. Contrary to popular belief, the term was not exclusive to the landlocked modern country of Ethiopia. According to early Greek writers, Ethiopia was an empire originally situated between whatever the Kemet, these places. I don't even know the geography there very well. Ethiopia is the English transliteration of the Greek word Aethiopia, which originates from the Greek word Aethiopus, which literally means charred or burnt. And is in fact composed of the word meaning burn and face, burn face. Okay, why am I laughing? You might think that I'm like having like a South Park moment. I'm not. Holy Moses, this is the world we live in. You ready? You are the descendants of Cush. No, we're not. We're the blackface people. Don't ever call me a Cushite again. You will call me burnt face. This is the logic. Which is better? Which is a better term when trying to respectfully address a people group? That you descend from Cush historically, the son of Noah, grandson of Noah, or that you take your the name that the Greeks called you, which is burnt face, which is better, and that the lady that researched Black African history, she said, don't listen to anybody who says you're not a Cushite. Don't tell me I'm a Cushite, because I don't care what you call me. Just don't say I have anything to do with the Bible. Call me burnt face. Or you're being racist, or you're being insensitive. Get out of here. Yeah, did you know that? Ethiopia comes from the Greeks calling them burnt face. And they think it's an offense to call them Cushites. Kingdom of Cush. A lot of information on this. Ancient African writing system and knowledge. I got super into this. And then I went on a sidetrack looking into Moses. And did you know Moses married a Cushite? An Ethiopian lady, the daughter of the king, after he fought them for 40 years. He was a military general for 40 years in Egypt. Before the next 40 years and the following 40 years. Let's see here. Blog discovering the ancient writing systems, etymology of Hust and Cush. I don't know the etymological meaning of Wawat. The etymology of Cushite is determined by geography and ethnicity. The vowel associated with Cush can be a or U. The root word is interpreted as a geographical term, probably meaning hilly area. What does it mean? Hills? Maybe it's named after the person. Nope. Hills. Probably. The surrounding non-Cush populations usually refer to the people living in these areas as blacks or Nehesi. Thusly, Cush would mean hilly land where the Nehesi live. I've not been able to determine what the etymology of Cush is based on the Cushite language up to now. Are you looking in the right area? Okay. The Cushites were originally called this word, chesedi, by the Egyptian. The Cushites were called by the Nair's time. I ended up looking into this. It's from an Egyptian. Let's see here. Cushites were called blah, blah, blah. We find Narmer's name, Jar's behalf, dating to this period, makes it clear that part of the Negev was called Chest, which is Cush, or Cushite. The Old Kingdom rulers also referred to the Cushites in Nubia as the word Cush, H-A-S-T, as Cush. Nahal Tilla Bula, which is H3TS.T. It's like syntax. Oh, look at me just reading to you with not showing it. There we go. That's better. Sorry. Okay. Nahal Tilla Bula, which is H3TS.T, not a website, which means Cush, or Cushite, with a J behind it. Hekkas, ruler of the Cushites. Hekkas, ruler of the Cushites, right? Heke, king, Kas, Cush, Kosh. Anyways, I found in ancient Egypt from like 1600 BC from a stone, king of the Cushites. King of the Cushites. And the reason I do this is, look at this. The earliest mention of the term Cush is mentioned in the Buhan Stela from Seti I. This is 3,300 years ago. I want you to think about this for a second. 3,300 years ago on an Egyptian stele, Cush was written as KSH. They want to say that the Bible, 600 BC. We believe Moses was on Sinai 3,500 years ago-ish. Maybe a little bit greater than that. And we had Torahs immediately. Oh, the Bible's not that old. Well, the Bible says that they're Cushites, and this is an Egyptian inscription talking about these people from at least 3,300 BC. And based on here it is. An Egyptian text dating between 1550 and 1000 BC. On the far end, this ruler was written as KSH. Here it is in actual Egyptian. KSH. Look at that. Everybody knows. Soup bowl is K, bird is S, and then the waves in the box is H. It could be the other way. What we do know is that the bird is definitely a 3. 3 bird. We know that. I'm a 3 bird. This is what it is. It's too late. This could be 3,500 years old. 3,500 years old. Yeah, and the Bible said it first. The Bible just came later. No. Okay, anyways. Cushites. Ethiopians. I guess you can choose what you want to call them, but Cushites seems pretty good to me. Yeah, that's when it was. 1,500 to 1,549 to 1,300 BC. You're talking 3,300 to 3,500 years ago. Cush was written in the Egyptian annals. Okay, back to the map. I was letting you guys finish that in your mind. I know I got that song stuck in your head now. Okay, Cush down here. I'm not going to go too far into Egypt. We all know what Egypt is. And we all know it was called Misraim in the Bible. Egypt, Misraim, of course. Now to Ludim. This one's really cool. And I hope I have my research together. I fear I don't. I fear that I don't. Let's see what happens here, though. YouTube. Okay, I don't know what this is. First century letters. My resources get a little bit wonky towards the end when I'm so oversaturated with this information. I love it, but what's crazy about this, what I mean by that, I have a bad itch. What I mean by that is that, if you find a food you really like and you eat too much of it and you don't look forward to it anymore, this isn't that kind of thing. This is each one of those nuggets that I brought you of the Gomerites and whatever is hours and hours of research. You just got to zoom in. It's like Google Maps. You zoom in. Like, okay, you follow that bread trail. Boop, zoom in. Follow that bread trail. You keep going. Boop, boop, boop. I could do this with this, and I think I would probably find a more rich history, although because we are in kind of a more European, Western language, even dialect, it's a little bit harder, but I'm certain that their records are probably even better. So I'm generalizing and kind of skipping stones here. Sons of Ham, which is Put. Put is the Hebrew name for Libya. It is translated that way 3 times in the Old Testament. The ancient river of Put was in Libya. By Daniel's day, the name had been changed to Libya. Josephus says Put was the founder of Libya. Inhabitants were the Footites for himself. Operated as mercenaries in defense. Regarding Tyre, Persia and Lud and Put were in your army as men of war. They hung the shield and helmet on you. No sons or grandsons of Put are recorded in the Bible. However, the book of Jasher gives the names of at least 4 sons. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. The interesting thing here, and I don't think I have it. I can see I don't have the tab. I'm going to have to go back to my map to recall this, and hopefully I can make sense of it. From my understanding, my understanding escapes me.